streets demanding change. In a report released late last night, the Dallas Police Department looked at 4 days of protests and examined their response against protesters between May 29th and June 1st. The department wants to move forward, but for protesters, it's not that simple. Here's Eric Alvarez.
Protesters who were on this bridge the night of June 1st were hit with smoke, tear gas, and less than lethal projectiles. 670 bullets were detained and threatened with criminal charges. But the protesters had long maintained it was the police who were in the wrong that night. It's a claim that was bolstered a few days later when Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall said charges wouldn't be filed at all. But for the protesters, it didn't end there. They had to wait 74 days for the department to release the findings of its investigation, which finally happened late Friday night.
The DPD's after-action report details the department's response to peaceful protests, clashes with police, rioting, and looting between May 29th and June 1st. In it, Chief Hall acknowledges errors and shortcomings in its response. The 83-page report says department leaders learned a number of lessons and plan to make changes, including banning officers from firing direct contact hits from pepper ball launchers indiscriminately into a crowd. Officers can still target protesters in one-on-one situations when sure of the target and the background. The non-direct use of pepper balls as well as crowd-dispersing chemicals will still be allowed. Changes to DPD orders also ban firing the department's 40mm less lethal stingers into crowds. Again, officers will be allowed to deploy them on individuals when sure of the target and background. Members of DPD, both sworn and unsworn, will be required to stop or attempt to stop other DPD employees when force is inappropriately used or when it's no longer necessary. June 1st protest organizer Dominique Alexander says limiting less than lethal tactics isn't enough.
They shouldn't have them at all. We want to defund them, period.
Chief Hall says the revelations of the report were difficult to accept, but she's confident officers are committed to change so that errors do not occur in the future.
They have these mistakes, but how many officers were suspended about it? You're going to keep on just changing policies every time your police officers do something wrong. That don't create a culture of real structured accountability.
The police department, protesters, even we as journalists have a long road ahead in figuring out the mistakes that were made and how to fix them. A public safety committee meeting has been scheduled for this Tuesday to discuss the findings of that 83-page report. In Dallas, I'm Eric Alvarez.
There is sad news from